Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for this panel. As we get started, I'm going to turn the panel over to Juan Valentin to begin our discussion on connecting to a community. Juan?
All right. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. I'm looking forward to our conversation here on a conversation about building networks, finding mentors, and we're going to talk a little bit about funding opportunities as well. We have a very esteemed panel with us today, and I'm not going to bore you with their very impressive bios. However, I am going to give each of them an opportunity to tell us about themselves. So first, I'd like to introduce Susana Bauman, who's an award-winning multicultural communications expert and strategist, public speaker, journalist, published author, and a small business advocate. So Susana, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, who you work for, and how your work helping others is advancing in the community? If you could please do that.
Hola, Juan. Hola a todos. Hello. Thank you, Sean, for the invitation today and for the opportunity to share with you the Latinas in Business mission. I'm, as Juan said, Susana Bauman. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of Latinas in Business, a national nonprofit organization that advocates for the economic empowerment of Latinas and other minority women entrepreneurs. And we extend that invitation also to Latinas Incorporate America. Our mission is really to empower through the opportunity to share the stories of Latina entrepreneurs. We offer a full array of services, including editorial services, social media campaigns, information and connection to other resources that we don't offer directly, like access to capital. And that's how I met Jennifer, actually, because they have a wonderful program. And I think that's how you connected through her, you connected to me for this opportunity. We offer 3 pillars in our organization. The editorial, which is our wonderful magazine with 12,000 subscribers at this time. It is latinasinbusiness.us. If you would like to visit, it's a wonderful, wonderful resource where we tell our stories and share information. Then we have the programs, educational and promotional events pillar, which has been a little bit challenging through the pandemic, obviously, as everybody else. But we have morphed into virtual events. And thirdly, we're just starting our programming pillar, which will offer programs in areas that we consider are mostly important or relevant for a Latina and other minority business entrepreneurs. And I'm going to leave it there just for the questions, then we can talk more about Latinas in Business.
Excellent. Thank you, Susana. And moving on to Jennifer. Jennifer is the interim CEO at Latino Business Action, whose mission is to strengthen the United States by empowering Latino business owners to scale. And so, Jennifer, please tell us who you are, who you work for, and how your work helps advance Hispanics in our communities.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you to Sean for the invitation. And it's a pleasure to be amongst all of these great panelists. Well, a couple of things that I'll say. We have since appointed a CEO, so I now serve as the Chief Operating Officer for Latino Business Action Network, also known as LBAN. But a little bit about me and how I got to this place. So I grew up in a very small rural town in northern New Mexico in an entrepreneurial family. Not as we might envision it today. So for me, my experience was working in my dad's business, and he provided landscaping materials. So that meant in the afternoons after school and on weekends, we were digging small trees, gathering rocks and boulders, and then we'd park on the side of the road and sell that. And anytime, if you've had any experience selling anything door to door on the side of the road, you know that builds some grit inside of you. And it certainly did that, but it also drove me straight to corporate America. Because that experience, I said, I don't want this type of small business. I don't want to do this work. And I need, I'm going to explore the corporate America route. And so I did. I spent nearly 15 years in the finance industry. My latest stint was with Bloomberg Financial, and I was with them for about 12 years prior to them with a money management firm. Over that time, I really began to recognize that my strengths and my passions were developing leaders, because I know and believe that when you develop a leader, they have the ability to really move the needle within their organization and within their company. So I launched my own consulting business as a leadership and business consultant, working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. And over time, I found myself at Latino Business Action Network really recognizing that my ability to impact business leaders was scalable within an organization versus a one-to-one. So I've been now with LBAN for 3 years, going a little over 3 years. And what do we do? As Juan mentioned, we are our goal is to strengthen the United States by focusing and empowering Latinos. But we specifically focus on scaled businesses. And just to give you some background around that, we know that Latinos are innovative. We know that we are entrepreneurial. We are starting businesses at a faster pace than the national average. But we also know that businesses tend to stay small. So only 3% of Latino-owned businesses ever reach that $1 million or more. Our focus believes that when we get companies to be large and scalable, we have a greater impact and a faster impact in the community and the economy. And what I mean by that is when we have large Latino-owned businesses, they're creating jobs. They're more likely to promote Latinos to higher levels within their organization. They're more likely to give back and invest in the community and where they work and serve. And they are more likely to create wealth and generational wealth as well. So then our focus is, how do we get this top tier, 2 to 3% Latino-owned businesses to the next level? So what we do at LBAN, we collaborate with Stanford University, and we deliver 3 different things. One is research, the second is an education scaling program, and the third is ecosystem development. So on the research side, we conduct and disseminate the most robust research on Latino-owned businesses. Every year, we facilitate a survey, we analyze the data and release a report every January. And that data, our goal is to get that into the hands of decision makers, policymakers on a federal, state, and local level. Anyone really that has the ability to create environments that are conducive to small business growth. On the education side, we co-facilitate, again with Stanford Graduate School of Business, a Stanford Latino Scaling Program. And this is a virtual program where business owners participate to really gain the knowledge and the business tools, as well as the networks that will help them take their business to the next level. And then finally, Juan, our third pillar is ecosystem development. And I think this is really key for Latinos to be part of an ecosystem so that you are fostering your continued growth. I know that businesses and the scaling journey doesn't happen in an 8-week period. It happens over time. And so when we focus on our ecosystem development, this is where we say, let's now take our 800 companies that have participated in our Stanford scaling program and walk with them in their scaling journey. And that means, what type of growth pathways can we create? What type of networking opportunities and introductions can we make for our businesses? What kind of continuous education can we provide so that we are continuously resourcing and empowering businesses to grow and scale?
Wow. Well, it looks like the Latino Business Action Network is keeping you quite busy, Jennifer. That is amazing to hear. Really good stuff. So we're next going to move on to Olga Camargo, who is the CEO and founder of Faro Associates. Olga has 20 years of financial experiences and has been instrumental in helping organization leaders with their operations in industries that include healthcare, education, construction, and government. So please, Olga, tell us who you are, who you work for, and how the work you do is helping others in our community.
Absolutely, Juan. Thank you so much for having me today. I'd love to be, here, hopefully providing some insight for other individuals. Hopefully you learn from my mistakes and some of the lessons that I've learned along the way. I actually, like Jennifer, also grew up in a family business in Little Village. And so my mom had a bridal shop, and then she grew it to 3 bridal shops. And so we were busy making all these custom-made wedding gowns. So talk about like the long nights and, really giving the best of yourself because you were trying to help somebody else with their special day. You put your heart and soul into that. And that's never really left who I am. A lot of things that I've learned from my mother's working with my mother was that to putting your heart and soul into the work that you do, the very best to make, what you're putting out there, you have to put it out there very proudly. I also learned when I was working with her that unfortunately, sometimes financial services that were being, offered from door to door that were coming through her door were not exactly the best services or products that, she could have been offered. And she was trying to do the best thing for her family. And of course she was trying to conduct business and trying to go through those transactions. And what I did find out was that there was a big language barrier, big misunderstanding in terms of what was being offered, what she believed, what she was being offered. And 14-year-old me at the time was trying to be the translator. Please, please, but anyway, at the end of the day, I saw that, I think a wake-up call for me was one time when I was actually trying to translate for her for one of the services that was being offered to her. The person did not speak he was monolingual. My mom was monolingual too. And as the seller was trying to provide my mom the service, he was initially looking at my mom, and then I was translating for my mom. It went from that to the conversation, like where he was just addressing me and not my mom anymore. So he was addressing a minor and trying to get the minor to convince the mom to be able to, seal the deal with that. So I found that very transformational. I'll never forget it because I felt that was a little disrespectful, very disrespectful actually to my mom. And I thought that if it was happening to my mom, one of the smartest women that I know as a Latina entrepreneur, that was happening everywhere else. And I wasn't mistaken. I think down in my journey, when I went to college, I realized that I wanted to continue in the business field and that I would major in it. And so I did. And I knew that I wanted to do that for myself because I really enjoyed it. But I also knew that at the end of the road, I wanted to be able to impact my community in a way where, a Maria Luisa, like my mother, would be in a better situation if they had somebody on their side advocating for them. And it wasn't just for Latina entrepreneurs, it was also for Latinas and, the Latinx community. And, I got a chance to hear Leonardo earlier. And the biggest thing that I learned from that was that you can't limit the impact that you should have locally or regionally, that you really do have to think big. And that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned from one of my greatest mentors, that he always told me, he says, Olga, don't put in so much time to doing something so small. Put time into doing something big. Always think big. And so that's been sort of like the journey that I've been on. It's not been easy at all, but I have had enormous support, like, for example, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, where I have learned, I'm actually the national board chair for them, but I've also learned so much from them, from a lot of the mentors and champions and advocates and people that believe in the work that, I'm doing. And, we obviously support one another. I support their work as well. People that I meet through this organization and beyond. And I want to say that, yes, I work for Faro Associates. That's a smaller entity. I'm also a partner for Toroso Investments out of New York. And it's a big feather in my hat because I never thought working in a little village, working at a bridal shop, that I'd one day end up being a partner for a Wall Street firm. And so I have really learned a lot of earned my stripes in terms of providing investment fiduciary services to institutional clients. So a lot of nonprofits that actually service in the Latino community, a lot of businesses that are Latino led, and then other entities that have nothing to do with Latinos. But at the end of the day, it's the same work, trying to help everybody get to eventually at the end of trying to get to retirement ready, basically, is what it comes down to. And so I am currently impacting my community, yes, through that kind of work, my professional work, but I also mentor. I mentor because we need to be responsible for that next generation that is coming right behind us. And that's not something that I just started doing. That came maybe about 12 years ago. We were bringing in a lot of underrepresented individuals into the financial industry to work within our practice and help them not just sell, but actually learn the craft of how you report when you're talking to a board. How do you report to the CEO? How you report to a Latino owner, whoever it is. And that is the kind of conversation that a lot of our community needs exposure to, so that they are not afraid to think about, can I do that? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Mm-hmm. And you need to give them those initial wings. The only other thing I can say is that I also write about the themes in terms of getting Latinos retirement ready and some of the barriers that are still there. I am also an advocate for the Latino community within the financial services industry to be able to get them to really meet the unique needs of Latinos.
Wow, powerful, powerful story, Olga. Thank you for sharing. And I think we're going to come back to that topic of thinking big later on in our conversation. But thank you for sharing. And last but certainly not least, thank you for your patience. I'd like to introduce Luis Tito Leal, who's the Chief Financial Officer and Board Member for Prosperity Labs. Tito serves as the CFO, where he utilizes his strengths and experience to help drive strategy, creating budgets, analyzes financial statements, and strategically interpreting the data to ensure sustainability of Prosperity Lab. So Tito, please tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, who you work for, and how the work you're doing is helping others advance in their communities.
Thank you so much, Juan, and hello, everyone. Good afternoon, but still good morning in the Pacific West. It is a pleasure to be here with you today with this phenomenal panelist, and thank you to Sean, the USPTO, for inviting me to participate in this panel. My name, like Juan said, my name is Tito Leal. I was born and raised in Mexico City. I am a CPA, and I have more than 20 years acting as an accountant in this world. I am the founder and CEO of LB&A, which is an accounting firm providing financial, tax, and administrative services to small businesses, specifically in the Bay Area in California. Additionally, like Juan said, I am the co-founder and the CFO of Prosperity Lab, which it is a nonprofit organization that was created due to the great need to help all entrepreneurs and small businesses that do not know how to start and how to scale their businesses. We are dedicated to empowering entrepreneurs, businesses owners with different training programs in different areas, such as finance, we do marketing, mindset, legal, and we provide support with some digital resources as well to help those small business owners. We also provide we have some resources where we can provide, like, for example, like a free website for entrepreneurs and for business owners that do not have sometimes the capacity to make that. So we provide with that assistance as well. And it is important to mention as well, we all these webinars that we provide, we do it in 3 different languages, which is Spanish, English, and we also do it in Vietnamese as well. In addition, we have created a platform, kind of like a marketplace, where our goal with this marketplace is to create a networking within our Hispanic community with the small business owners, so they can really be interacting and know where their business is, knowing where they are, just to really easy to find like an Hispanic business, so we can actually network with them and try to find some resources easily for them. That's pretty much about for Prosperity Lab. And again, we are here as well for helping entrepreneurs, small business, and whoever who wants to really create a business here in the United States. And just to tell them, like, it is not that complicated that it could sound, just to do like a business in the United States. It's only about like wanting to create your business, you know, having that power and having that vision that you want to do something within the US. Is like you can do it. If you dream about it, you can create it and you can own it.
Thank you, Tito. So for everyone listening out there, I hope you've gotten a strong taste for the conversation we're getting ready to jump into here. All of our panelists have a deep history rooted in connecting with our community and helping others and bringing others ahead along with them. And so I'm excited to get into this conversation. A little housekeeping I'd like to get out of the way really quickly. For those of you who have maybe joined us, missed the introduction, please send any questions for our panelists to Hispanic Innovation at uspto.gov. That's Hispanic Innovation at uspto.gov, and we will get those questions asked to our panelists for you. So with that being said, Jennifer, I want to jump right in and go ahead and ask you the first question. So, you know, as I stated, it's very impressive, the work, the breadth and scope and scale of work that you're doing with the Latino Business Action Network. And so, you know, your work is empowering Hispanic entrepreneurs to scale their businesses is super impressive. And so for those in our audience today who have a viable product or maybe a service they're looking to provide, and who may be looking for resources and such as capital and things of that nature, where would you point entrepreneurs as they look to access capital when growing their businesses?
Great question. Well, I would first say to all of those listeners that met your description, congratulations for being here and investing in yourself to acquire more information, knowledge, and resources to help you in your journey. Capital is one of those things that we know is critical in a company's ability to scale. We also know that it's a buzzword because it is a challenge, specifically for Latinos. It has been a challenge in recent and maybe forever, right? We know that from a debt perspective, from a lending perspective, Latinos are less likely to be funded by national banks at a rate of 60% less likely. We know that less than 2% of venture capital goes to Latino-owned businesses. So I want to just state the obvious and the facts here that there is a challenge. I also want to indicate that part of that challenge is systemic, right? There is a systemic aspect to it, but part of it is controllable. And so for all of those business owners and aspiring business owners, I would encourage you to focus on what is controllable. And what I mean by that is when you are going out seeking capital, be it venture, be it debt financing, or be it grants, you have to know what you need and how you are going to deploy those funds. So I would first encourage you to really understand your financial situation. Make sure that your financial records are accurate, that when you walk in, before you walk into a bank, that you are walking in with accurate financials, that you have your documentation in place, that you're able to tell the story of your business, your aspiring business, and also what you will be doing with the funds that you are seeking, right? That's part of the controllable aspect. Now, where would I point you to in terms of funding opportunities? I think that varies depending on the type of business that you are. I would first say that be connected with a professional network. And the reason why that's important is because there's always new information and new resources coming about. And usually the first people to hear about that are large professional organizations. So it's important for you as a small business or aspiring business owner to be part of that circle, to be connected so that you hear the information when it comes down the pipe. Now, a couple places that I would first, point you to initially without knowing who you are and what your business is. But if you're a small business getting started and you're not likely to fit into a traditional bank, take a look at your local CDFIs. CDFIs, those are community development financial institutions. They are across the country. If you Google that, you will find some in your region. You will find national ones as well. Typically, CDFIs focus on micro lending and small businesses, so that might be a great opportunity for you. I would also encourage you to look at the Minority Business Development Agency, that's MBDA. They are an agency that typically offers a lot of grants for startup businesses and growing businesses, so that might be a great opportunity as well. And then the third resource that I would point to is an organization called Hello Alice. This is a technology platform where you register your business, the type of business that you have, and it uses AI, it uses automated technology to really push resources, funding opportunities, grants to you based on the type of business you are and based on your financing needs. So those would be my, without knowing the type of businesses, those would be the three resources that I would point you to. But more importantly, I would say get connected with a professional organization because they will maintain abreast of new funding opportunities.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. That's very insightful and helpful, I'm sure, for many of us listening. So Tito, I'm going to, you mentioned that you born and raised in Mexico, and I'd love to, if you could share a little bit more about your history and your cultural roots growing up and a little deeper insight into how it all began for you and how'd you really get your start in your industry and really how did it take off for you?
Definitely, Juan. Like I mentioned, originally from Mexico City, born and raised over there. My parent and my brother, they're accountants as well, CPAs. So pretty much since I was kind of like in high school, I was told like, hey, you need to be an accountant, right? So, but at the end, I love it. I like it. And I love what I do. And when I started working when I was studying in the university. So I used to go to work in the mornings from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. and then go to school from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. And that's how I actually did all my university working and studying. And while I was studying, I was recruited by this Big Four accounting firms, which is EY, and that's where all my career started. And I spent almost 20 years actually. I spent kind of like 12 years in Mexico, and then back in 2015, I had the opportunity to come to the US, specifically to the Bay Area, to the same firm, to EY, to have to work on a big project that was going on back then. So I decided to make that big move, like leaving all behind and start from scratch. Like it was like a big decision, like, do you want to go or not? You don't know if you're going to make it or not in the US. I knew I had obviously the support for my family, my wife and my kids. So at the end, they said like, let's go, let's take the opportunity. I know you can do it. And I knew I can do it, right? So that's when we decided to come to the US and again, start from scratch this new adventure. And then being here, I was still working as an external auditor, those guys that every single corporation love, that whenever you come to the companies and start asking, digging for everything. So, but after several years, that's when I found out like, you know what, I don't see more growth here in the company. And I want to share a lot of the things that I have. I used to be a teacher back in Mexico as well. I used to be in some educational programs over there. So I like to teach, right? So that's when I decided actually, and after talking to my wife as well, is like, what do you think? Should we do it? Should we go on the entrepreneur world and try to do our own businesses? So that's when we decided to be, from the comfort zone of being employee and getting a monthly salary that you are obviously getting, but there's something that you don't have, like you don't have that passion already, that still getting that, but you need to get more. And that's when we decided, and that's when I decided actually to take again this new adventure once here in the US, right? So to go and take that opportunity to create my own accounting firm, to start helping the community as well. Like I mentioned before, there's a big need for whoever wants to do a business specifically here in the United States, that they don't have the knowledge or they don't know the steps how to start a business, how to know. They probably have they have the idea and they have the whole picture of what they want to do, but they don't know the steps on how to start a business. So that's where I come in, and that's where I decided to start my own thing. Also, in addition with some other co-founders, when we created the Prosperity Lab, a nonprofit organization, to keep helping as well the entrepreneurs, right? So I wanted to share my knowledge, everything I know for all these 20 years that I've spent doing all these numbers. So now that I'm helping people as well, helping them on the finances, how to create their business licenses, where to start, where to get, like Jennifer was saying, like all the capital, where do you find those ones? So I was helping as well. I've been helping the community specifically on getting grants, specifically right now during the pandemic. Obviously, a lot of the businesses were highly impacted, almost everyone, right? So there were a lot of grants and loans granted by the government, state or federal. So we were helping as well our community to get those ones, right? So sometimes our community, they don't know or they don't want to apply for a lot of those grants or loans because they are afraid that they don't want to do it. They don't want to be, found like, I don't want to apply for some money from the government. So, but there are resources that they can do, and that's where we come in as well and try to help them to get their goals, to get the money, to get grants, to get everything they can. So that's a little bit of my experience. That's how it started. Again, like it's now I can tell you it's really satisfying helping like people, specifically for our community, that to try to grow their small businesses. Even for startups, I've helped some startups companies as well, and try to get like their finance an accurate way, everything correctly, right? So because it is important, a lot of businesses, they know the invention, they know their product, services, what they want to do, but they don't know the background on how they have to do the business, right? Administrative, accounting, finances, their taxes. Most of the people that are afraid of taxes as well, is like, don't be afraid of that. So if you have everything properly like in place, you don't have to be worried about anything else. Just grow your business and try to find some people that can help you to, obviously on the background of your business, to help you with all the administrative piece of your business. But again, that's how kind of like I started. And again, I'm really grateful for all the support that I had from my wife specifically and my kids, that now I'm here helping all the entrepreneurs and small business owners.
Wow. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Don't be afraid to ask for it and receive it, right? It's not only that, but receiving it. But thank you for sharing your story. It hits home as two huge life moments for you that you described, right? One, leaving your home country, to go to a foreign country and lay new roots. That's a major decision, right? And kudos to you for making that decision and taking that leap of faith. And then kudos to you again for, being comfortable after you made that one tough decision to make another giant decision to leave the comforts of a guaranteed paycheck to start something new and fresh and exciting, but very risky, right? And so that's great for those of you listening out there. If there's a lesson to be learned, don't be afraid to take that leap of faith if you know that you've laid the work to make it successful. So thank you, Tito, for sharing that.
Thank you,
So Susana, I'd like to, that's a great segue actually into my question for you. With your business and your life's experiences of helping so many Latinas just put themselves out there and get exposure in our communities. You've mentored so many people and helped them achieve success. So where mentors are an important part of your personal and professional growth, that's my question. Were mentors an important part of your personal and professional growth? And then a follow-up question. If so, how did you find them or did they find you?
Right. Okay. So before I go into the answering your questions, if you allow me a few minutes, I would like to add to what Jennifer and Tito were saying before, because
Yes.
I think these are very important points that they made regarding Latino businesses in general, not only Latina, but also Latinx, let's say, businesses. And we do offer, like Jennifer was saying, a lot of resources come our way as an organization because they know that we are sharing and distributing data information to our members and extended family, let's say, right? Through the magazine, through social media, we're very active on social media as well. And all those resources that we offer have incredible impact in the community. Just from the, for instance, from the promotional events, and it's it's interesting because Jennifer and Elban, they focus in a market that is, I think, 2 million and up in revenue.
1 million.
1 million and up in revenue, and we target the 1 million and down in revenue. So we are right there trying to help them grow, and then Jennifer picks them up and scale them into success. So this is a fantastic opportunity, and I have to also mention that Jennifer just have been accepted to be a board member with Latinas in Business. So we are very, very excited about having her as a part of our organization. So for instance, just providing the information, right? We have impacted, this is a calculation based on certain resources that we consult, between $15 and $37 million in lead generation for this market, right? Through all our promotional events, the resources that we give, et cetera, et cetera. This is money that they're saving, that they're putting out in their pocket. They don't have to spend that money in lead generation because we provide those connections for them. That's how organizations work. That's what we tell them to really connect with us, right? Because that's when we can connect them to all these resources and help them scale and grow their businesses. The other point that Tito was making is the handholding them through the process, right, of the funding. We just had a meet and greet this month in October. We're doing part 2 now. We had 182 registrations for the meet and greet. And the topic was grants for women. There was so much interest. And we provided them with a PDF, 4 pages PDF, with current grants that they can apply to. And now we are going to have a part 2 where we are going to, but we were explaining basic information. What is the difference between a grant and a loan, for instance, right? Right? Olga knows what I'm talking about, right? And Tito too. And they were like, yeah, is that okay? Sure, yes, they were saying, so that's why we have to work with those difficulties and that type of mentorship, that type of very basic, starting from the very, very basics of the mentorship. Now, going to your question, mentorship always existed, obviously, but has become more trendy in, I would say, the last 10 to 15 years. When I started my business, that was 1996, and I started my business just because I was let go of a job that I had at the time. Okay, that was like, I was not in my plans to become an entrepreneur. We were not thinking about mentorship. We just jumped into the water and just did it, right? Now, looking back, I can see a lot of people that were present in my life that became my mentors without being officially my mentors, right? And people that I can pick up a phone and ask them, what should I do with this, right? Or people that will pick up a phone and say, I'm crying. It's like, because this happened to me. I'm out of this. I don't want to continue doing this, and they will just, walk me through the problem. So that mentorship, it's fantastic if you can set it up in a formal environment and have, mentors work with you. Also, don't hesitate to spend money on your knowledge and information.
Yeah.
Do consulting. It's important to learn from experts, not just from people on the internet. And that's investment in yourself and investment in your business. It's important, and you can deduct that as a business, right? As a business expense. So, and it will definitely increase your ability to function as an entrepreneur. But there is one person that I always recognize, because she has been not only a great mentor, she's a great woman, and she's a great founder of a global women leadership movement, which is Mariela Daba, and she's the founder of Red Shoe Movement, which probably you've heard of. She's based here in New York, but she's global. She is throughout Latin America and Europe right now. And Mariela is a mentor for women that has incredible insights in everything that you can talk to her about, and opportunities to share her experiences. So I officially have a mentor and recognize her mentorship.
Juan, can I add something to this topic of mentors?
Yes, please.
I would say, if I look back at my career, that I didn't have a mentor. I learned from people. I learned from a lot of incredible people, primarily through observation, but I didn't really have a formal mentor, someone that I could point to and say, yes, that person mentored me throughout my career. However, and this is quite recent, but I think it's so powerful that I do want to share it with the listeners. I had a conversation with someone now that I do consider a mentor, and this is what he told me. He said, Jennifer, you need to have a board of directors, a personal board of directors. And that board of directors is going to be diverse enough to be able to influence and speak into your personal and professional life in different areas. And you have to formalize that so that they know they have permission, but also to some degree accountability in doing so. And when I heard that, I began to formalize my invitations to people. And I said, I want you to be on my board of directors. I identified a few different people, and I made the invitation, the explicit invitation. And I also I have quarterly meetings with my board of directors, right? And so that's just something that I would encourage people to do. If you have mentorship, or if not, make the formal invitation and give the permission for people to be your mentor.
I think that's spot on. That is great advice. It reminds me of, I'm a member of the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers, and a good friend of mine is a prolific business person himself, and he did a workshop that I attended called "Who's Your Caddy?" And it was exactly about that. It was essentially, you know, because a caddy in golf, they're the ones who are helping the golfer take their shot. They tell them the distance, the wind, you know, if the green is tilted or not. And so they're helping them with that next step in their journey on that golf course. And so the board of directors are there for you to act as your caddies to help you. And that's not just one individual. They're specialized in different things. And so I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Really, really powerful stuff. So let's see, Olga, you are an entrepreneur, you're an innovator, and I would love for you, I understand you have a recent innovation that you've developed. Can you share a little bit about what you've developed or what you're developing, and tell us about the problem you're trying to solve, and what that innovation is ultimately gonna help you do or help others do?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I'd love to share that. And this is, again, you go into corporate America, you earn your stripes. I'm still part of it, so I'm still sort of like that hybrid model because I'm still in corporate America, and I also have Cloud Associates, where I am actually developed a fintech app called Sheenix. And so Sheenix is really, if you think about what I told you earlier about what happened with my mom, I felt that this had to be sort of like the cherry on top before I eventually retire. And I got to see this through, right? And it's got to work, and it's going to work, and it's going to deliver, because it's going to happen. And that's it. And so what it is so Sheenix basically addresses this whole, you think about financial services, and you think about how you build wealth, and how maybe Latinas don't really, you know, share that knowledge, and that familiarity, right? That traditional, more mainstream folks know about, right? Yet throughout their whole lives, right? Latinas, since they're like, I don't know, 14, even younger, I know even younger, they're being asked to, hey, translate this mortgage statement. Hey, what does this bill say? Hey, how do we do this? Hey, I got this, some kind of like, I don't know, a loan. How do you, and it just goes on and on and on. And all of a sudden, you know, you're translating, all of a sudden, the family is coming to you. Latinas know what I'm talking about, because we are the CFOs in our Latinx community. And let's face it, we own up to it, and we always try to do the best we can. But the reality is, right, that Latinas have no financial background, and they're trying so hard to do good by their loved ones. That's what's happening. And so they're trying to do, and then people say, well, use those tools that are out there. So those Wall Street, you know, tools that are out there that can help you. Okay, you go on there and you can start looking at it, but it doesn't speak to you. And that's a reality. It doesn't speak to you. And we've done interviews across the nation with Latinas de todos los colores, different backgrounds, from coast to coast. And they have said the same thing. They're like, we need a tool that, you know, we can count on and we can trust, and we know has that cultural, it's about, that has that cultural relevance to us. So we decided, well, I looked at my Hace Familia, and I pulled out of there a couple of people. I told you, you meet these people along the way. I met some people like 20 years ago, and now we're working together. And this is where it becomes so exciting, because now we're putting together for Latinas in the US, the first culturally compatible fintech solution that makes wealth creation possible for them. And we're meeting them where they're at. And it's all based on a lot of the work, experience that we have, the knowledge that we have, backed by obviously a lot of the work that we have already done and carried out in the Latino community. So basically, it'll help them basically meet them to help them with their budgeting, which, believe it or not, it's very much an issue with a lot of households, and even beyond the Latino community. And then they need to know about their savings, and we've gotten reports, right, from Unidos about emergency savings not really in place, and not a whole lot of money in the bank, not even if one devastation, one crisis puts a whole family under. So we got to address that first. And then also understanding, hey, you know what? when you talk to a Latina, right, about a budget, that budget better look familiar to her, right? Where's the, hey, the second home that she's probably paying for her parent, or the second home abroad that the family has that she's maintaining? Hey, let's talk about also, hey, you know what? La madrina, she's a madrina, and she's putting away monies also for the godson's education. Hey, you know what? I want to start that business, and I need to put some savings on the side. Because guess what? We heard it earlier today. Latinas are opening up, especially Latinas, businesses 2 times faster than any other group in the US. Okay, it's reality. So they're saving for it. Okay. And then they also have legal expenses of all kinds, right? Whether that be for the business or for some other needs that the Latino community has, and it goes on and on. So you know what? We are a big enough group right now, just as Latinas. Okay, deja de Latinos. And I love my Latinos. I got a boy, he's 17 years old, love my Latino, but you know what? I gotta address the needs of Latinas, because I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of being overlooked, largely ignored, and being told that should help you. No, you know what? It doesn't help me. I need something that really does address my unique needs. So again, I told you, I advocate, and this is part of my advocate, my advocate work. I want to say that, you know, one of the biggest things that we're going to be able to do, this is being based of, again, experience, partners that are coming in and saying, Olga, I want in, I want in, I want in, I want to provide the content for this. Why they're able to come in and provide that content is because we're actually addressing Latinas, you know, wealth gap 2 ways. Number one, and you cannot talk about helping Latinas create, you know, the wealth without addressing 2 issues that are at hand. Pay gap, right? And then also we need to address, you know, the opportunity for them to grow career-wise. So it's 2 things. And you got to say, yes, here's the savings, here's the budgeting, the savings, the way that you invest. But then let's talk about the pay gap, because those 2 things go hand in hand. And so for that, I am obviously working with our ASE organization, because they actually do have a Mujeres de ASE program in place that has helped Latinas across the nation close that wealth gap, especially those that are going through the program. How to talk to their supervisor, how to really get that goal of, hey, I might be here in this position now, but in like a year or 2 years, I need to ascend, right? And what does that look like? Are we on the same page? You know, getting that equal pay, right? And I have personally helped Latinas get their equal pay. Sometimes they go in and I'm surprised to hear who's giving them or offering what they're offering. I'm surprised at the entity, and I'm like, no, let's go online. Here's, you know, several resources online, and here's what it's pointing to. You should be getting this kind of money, right? So I said, you know, go on there, print this out, take it in a manila folder, whatever, old school, and you talk about the description and let them agree. And then you say, okay, so I guess this sort of like, you know, is a good indicator of what the salary range should be, right? And I'm asking them to be truthful, experience, and, you know, knowledge of that position that they're seeking. And so I've certainly made an impact in terms of helping them get an additional $20,000. That's
awesome.
Huge. That is huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Okay.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so this app is going to help, again, Latinas help with, you know, doing more for themselves, planning it out better for themselves in terms of maybe getting them home ownership, right? Bringing in the right individuals to be able to help out with that, getting them ready to be able to purchase that home. Also being able to say, hey, listen, here's sort of like you need to know about investments. And let's break this down for you. No more obfuscating what is an expense ratio. It's an expense fee. I mean, that's the investment fee. That's what it is. And it's like all this terminology that unfortunately scares people away because they don't understand it. So we're going to simplify this. And we're going to just say, this is what you need to be looking out for. If it's more than this, girl, go the other way. Let's talk to somebody else. Okay. And that's really how they're going to be able to begin addressing that issue. And again, on the other side, it would be the career side. So we are actually planning to launch this next year at the ASE 40th anniversary. And at least, that's a very ambitious goal. And we are working in conjunction with 1871, which is Chicago's Technology and Entrepreneurship Center. And actually, when I first put in the application to do this, to develop this, they, not even 24 hours later, they're like, come on in, you're gonna do this. And they gave me a diversity scholarship to be able to do this. So since then, we've actually been nominated for Chicago Innovations Award. We didn't move on to the next. Thank you. We did not move on to the next phase, but we're very happy and very honored to have been even nominated. And, we're going to continue moving forward and still trying to bring in the right partners to help us out and really make a big difference for our community, because we are going to need a lot of help.
That's exciting. That's so exciting to hear. Thank you for sharing the news, and I look forward to seeing Sheenix out there in stories, and actually have an aspiring photographer. My wife is an aspiring photographer. She's made that decision, Tito. She's like, first it was an amateur, I'm just gonna practice. Now I think she's got the bug, and so we'll be on the lookout for that. That can help us definitely. I feel that. So Jennifer, I want to come back to you. It seems like you are our financial guru on the panel, so I'd like to ask you another question, if you don't mind. In terms of, we already stated that capital is the buzzword. It's the #1 issue for young startups. If not, it's a close second. And so oftentimes independent entrepreneurs, they're not looking to give up equity stakes in their companies in exchange for funding. And so do you have any tips or anywhere that people can get access to non-equity funding, for instance, grant funding for startups that maybe aren't going to dilute their equity? I think you kind of touched on this earlier, but I don't know if there's anything more that you can share.
Yeah, if I could just share a quick story. Years ago, maybe a couple decades ago at this point, I remember accompanying my husband to a pitch event, right? Where it was these startups who had an opportunity to pitch their idea, and it was all pre-revenue, it's concept pitch, right? And the facilitator said, ideas are a dime a dozen, right? Half the people, probably more than half the people that pitch today, nothing will ever come of this idea. And so that always kind of resonated with me in terms of, when you are a startup, you need certainly capital, but even more than capital is you need the investors that are going to help you get from idea to production, right? You want your idea to be to become a product. You want your idea to become a service. And so I think there is a concept of it, it's a mentality or a mindset that's very personal, and there's no right or wrong way to think about it, but you do need to put some thought into it. Because if you are just an idea at this point, 100% of an idea or 0% of an idea is really going to net out to the same amount. And so think about, your hesitation of giving up equity, depending on where you are, might have some real validity to it or might not. And so think about what you need to get your business to the next level, to get your idea to product or your business to further scale. And so it might be very true that you are in a place where you need equity and you don't want to give equity. You need capital and you don't want to give capital. Again, I would point you back to professional organizations. Susana just mentioned she had a four-page document that had grants available. Plug into organizations like that. I'm sure Prosperity Labs, offers and is familiar with similar type of resources. But I would also, just ask yourself, what is my true hesitation of giving up equity? And when you give up equity, are you bringing the right people on board that are going to be your investors and partners to get your business forward?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jennifer. Sage advice. So with 4 minutes, actually 3 minutes left, Tito, I'm going to move to you. I'm going to try to squeeze in 2 questions if we can. But as a successful entrepreneur and someone who's helped others start their own businesses, I know there's people listening right now who have ambitions. So for those listening, can you share your thoughts on the steps needed when you're first starting out your business? Like you're just right at the beginning and you have that concept or that idea and you want to take that next step. Can you just quickly explain that for us?
Sure, definitely, Juan. And I know we're running out of time, so I'll be brief. So I'm just gonna list a few steps that you need to know as an entrepreneur and when you want to open your business. So first of all, there's always a problem, right? And needs. So outside in the world. So you need to find those problems and needs, and you, based on your knowledge and your talent, that's where you kind of like have the vision of bringing a new product or a new service that everyone needs, or there's a problem out there, right? So be clear about what you want, be consistent, and don't be afraid of doing it. Again, sometimes a lot of Latinos, they have like the vision, but they don't want to do it because they're afraid like they're gonna fail, or they believe they cannot do it, right? So just take the courage and just do it. If you have the vision, do it. Okay. Third one, find a business name. That's really important. Number 4, seek for help from experts, like Jennifer was saying as well. Always try to find an expert who can help you with your business and grow your business. Okay. Have the necessary capital, like as well, like Jennifer was saying as well. There's a lot of opportunities sometimes with equity or not equity. Understand the business finances. This is always really important. So try to make your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you don't know where you are. Okay, so this is really important about that. After that, choose a business structure. Here in the US, there's like a different business structures, corporations, LLCs. So again, try to find an expert who can explain to you what's going to be the best way to do it. Okay. Then the next one, process all the permits and licenses that are needed at a federal level and state level. Depending where you're gonna incorporate your business, you will need like a specific business permits. Okay. And select as well the digital platforms that you're going to use, or the software that you're going to use is really important. Like manual things are like old fashioned already. So you need to find like a really good software that you can help with your business. And again, this is really important. And everyone, I believe in this panel is going to always say like, try to find someone who can help you. Susana was mentioning as well, invest in your education, right? So this is always important. Try to find someone who can help you to build your business.
Thank you so much, Tito. It sounds like we could come back and have a panel just on that alone. But thank you for sharing all of that. So we are out of time right now, but Susana, I do want to give you like 30 seconds, because I've read through your bio a lot, and you've accomplished so much goals, and your story about obstacles and challenges, and how you're trying to let others avoid that. So I don't know if you can do that in 30 seconds, but if you could do that for me, I would love you to be able to just do that real quick. And I'm not going to end, Sean. I'll let you, after Susana's done talking, take the stage. But thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been an amazing, amazing panel. So Susana, please take us home.
3 things. Don't work in isolation. Second, don't get lost in the passion of your product, of your service. You need the passion, but you need to be realistic about the third thing, which is look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. So be persistent and your dream will come through.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Olga, Tito, Jennifer, Susana, Juan. Thank you so much for all of this information. I have been getting questions about people wanting to know how to reach out to you. We'll be sharing your information, but I appreciate you being here today. I thank you all for everything you're doing for our community. I love the fact that we have 3 women represented here who are just advocates, and they are just phenomenal. Tito, thank you for your story, coming to America, starting your business, making success and making it for others. These are the stories of our community, and I love this. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being a part of our program today, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody. This has been a pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. But on behalf of USPTO and the Office of Innovation Outreach, I want to thank everyone who joined us today and all of our presenters who provided inspiration, insight, and resources to help everyone be a success. If you enjoyed today's program, you may want to look at some of the upcoming programs that we're teaching about more intellectual property. We have a series coming up, Introduction to Intellectual Property, offered through the USPTO Eastern Region Outreach Office. The program will be in Spanish language and also an English language program. The series continues next week on October 20th and will continue every Wednesday over the next 3 weeks. You can register now for those programs by going online to our events page at www.uspto.gov/events. If you'd like to join the Office of Innovation Outreach as we present one of our other programs, such as our events programs for veterans, Black Innovation and Entrepreneurship, or our Women's Entrepreneurship Symposium, you can log on to our events page and get information when that becomes available in the next few weeks. To help improve our programs, we will be sending a survey out after today's program is complete. We'd love for you to provide your feedback and information on today's program so that we can provide better programming in the future. Check your mailbox for an email coming from our mailbox, hispanicinnovation@uspto.gov. At this time, I'd like to say thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at future programs.